calls Russian girls just a commodity. Valuable assets exploited at the hands of traffickers and pimps. Welcome to the world of modern slavery. A world 19-year-old Christina knows all too well. 2 years ago, as an orphan from a poor Russian village, she was lured by the promise of big bucks in St. Petersburg. She didn't realize she'd end up in a brothel.
I hated myself for what I was doing. I felt I'd lost all my senses, but I couldn't account for my actions. It was so humiliating to be forced to have sex.
18 months later, the police raided the brothel. She was saved. Then, in cooperation with the authorities, she helped uncover the trafficking ring. But this meant reliving her nightmare.
The police gave me hidden cameras and bugs. I had to work in the brothel again for 2 weeks before the police helped me escape. The worst thing was that there were so many young girls working there as slaves. I couldn't bear to see it all again.
But other girls aren't so lucky. Their pimps maintain a tight grip with blackmail and abuse. Russia has long turned a blind eye to the trafficking of its women, prompting a barrage of international criticism. Both the UN and the United States have called for action, stating that Russia is one of the largest suppliers of sex slaves in the world. And these women have been dubbed the Natashas in this recent book by a Canadian journalist. It highlights the plight of Russian women used for sexual exploitation, and it says that human trafficking is the human rights issue of the millennium. Russia also faces homegrown criticism as it continues to send its Natashas abroad. Newspaper reporter Yaroslava went undercover to expose the work of the trafficking mafia. She joined a group of Russian girls promised jobs as waitresses overseas, but they were trafficked to Israel via Egypt, smuggled across the desert by Bedouins.
One of the girls nearly died from sunstroke. Another was raped by an Arab guard. He used a plastic bag instead of a condom. We were treated like meat. One man hit me, but the other guards intervened. They didn't want the commodity spoiled before it was sold.
In Israel, the girls became the property of local pimps, their passports confiscated and forced into the sex trade. Yaroslava escaped, but the others enslaved. But Russia has begun to face up to the crisis, recently adopting a new law on the protection of trafficking victims. Those who organise prostitution now face a prison term. And the government's working with the International Organization for Migration to rehabilitate former sex slaves. The IOM runs a successful rehab centre which helps hundreds of victims recover from the traumas of exploitation.
We have great results with the state authorities. So the Minister of Interior, FSB, FMS are cooperating on a big extent, and they refer victims, they help the organization in the assistance and the reintegration of victims. They tackle organized crime groups dealing with such phenomena.
But the IOM says there's still much work to be done in preventing human trafficking. It may be the 21st century, but the slave trade has yet to be abolished. Leah Ferguson, Rush Today.